When martial law begins, it won't be an announcement on the evening news. It'll be silence, then sirens, then boots on the ground. People will rush to their windows, phones in hand, trying to understand what's happening. But by the time you see the soldiers on the street, it's already too late to start planning. You're no longer living under law. You're living under control. Most people believe martial law will look like protection, order, safety. But what they won't tell you is that it's designed for compliance, not security. Every movement monitored, every signal tracked, every decision logged in real time. Freedom doesn't end with violence, it ends with convenience. When checkpoints appear, when drones hum overhead, when curfews begin, the system is no longer asking for your obedience. It's demanding it. The moment martial law is declared, normal life disappears. Your phone becomes your leash. Your digital identity, your name, your data, your money, is no longer yours. They'll freeze accounts, restrict travel, and track every purchase for safety reasons. You won't even realize it at first. It'll look organized, efficient, even necessary. But beneath the calm lies control. The question isn't whether you can survive martial law. It's whether you can survive outside it. Disappearing from the system doesn't mean running away into the woods. It means learning how to exist without being seen. In a world obsessed with tracking, invisibility is rebellion. Every camera, every microphone, every transaction paints your digital silhouette. To disappear, you must first understand the patterns that make you visible. They track movement through routine. You wake at the same time, drive the same route, buy the same things. Predictability is data, and data is power. The first step in vanishing is breaking your pattern. Change your routes, alter your timing. Make your life unpredictable. Because in a monitored society, the only thing they can't control is uncertainty. When martial law begins, the first wave of control hits communications. Internet throttling, network shutdowns, identification checkpoints tied to SIM cards. Your phone becomes a transmitter of your location, even when turned off. So the rule is simple. Your device is not your ally, it's your tag. To truly disappear, you must separate your life from your technology. That means learning to operate in silence. No phones, no cards, no trace. Cash will be restricted. Digital currency will be promoted, and every transaction will demand verification. When that happens, trade will go underground. Real survival begins in the barter network, where trust replaces currency and silence replaces signatures. Every prepper who thinks stockpiling is enough will learn quickly that community is the real currency of collapse. The ones who survive aren't the richest, they're the quietest. But vanishing isn't about isolation, it's about blending. The less you stand out, the less they see you. During martial law, drawing attention is death. The people who shout, protest, or panic are the first to disappear, not by choice, but by force. The key is to move like water, invisible, adaptable, unnoticed. You blend into the background, become another shadow in the fog. You don't hide, you dissolve. Every city under martial law follows a pattern. First comes curfew, then rationing, then checkpoints. When the streets go quiet, that's when they start monitoring movement between zones. The mistake most people make is thinking they can bug out after martial law is declared. But once the perimeter is established, you're not escaping, you're trapped. The real preparation begins before the first curfew. You need a shadow plan, a way to disappear from the system before the system locks you in. That means having alternate identification, multiple supply caches, and safe houses that no one links to your name. It means learning routes that avoid main roads and checkpoints, paths through forests, abandoned railways, service tunnels, riverbanks. In a world of control, knowledge of terrain becomes your passport. You'll also need to adapt your appearance. Under martial law, facial recognition becomes a weapon. Cameras at every corner, drones scanning crowds, AI sorting faces into categories. They call it public safety. You'll call it surveillance. The answer isn't a disguise, and it's disruption. Changing patterns that confuse algorithms, infrared-resistant fabrics, reflective patches that distort recognition. Even dirt and soot become armor when light becomes the enemy. But none of this matters if your mindset isn't ready. Most people break not because they're caught, but because they panic. The system relies on fear, the silent kind that makes you obey before you are even told to. That's how control works. They don't need to chain you if you chain yourself. So the real skill in disappearing is psychological. You must learn to be calm under control, invisible under pressure, silent in chaos. When martial law begins, remember this: safety will be the bait. You'll be told to report to safe zones, to follow instructions, to surrender your freedom for order. And many will do it, willingly, because fear is easier than freedom. You'll watch your neighbors line up, smiling, believing they're being protected. But the gates don't open both ways. The only thing that leaves those zones are stories. The world under martial law is not the same world you lived in before. Every decision becomes survival. Every action carries consequence. You'll have to decide who you can trust and who you can't, because not everyone resisting the system is your ally. Some are informants feeding information for rations, safety, or privilege. The system knows how to use hunger and fear to turn people against each other. That's why invisibility is not just physical, it's social. The less people know about your movements, the safer you remain. Communication becomes the next battlefield. When the grid is monitored, information is currency. Learn to send messages that leave no trail. Physical drops, symbols, shortwave codes. The old methods return when the digital ones die. If you don't already know how to communicate offline, you're not ready to disappear. Invisibility doesn't mean vanishing from existence. It means creating layers of distance between you and your true identity. The clothes you wear, the name you use, the habits you show, all must become masks. But here's the secret. The best disguise is normalcy. The people who survive martial law aren't the ones dressed like soldiers. They were the ones who looked too boring to notice. Blending in is the art of survival. You become the face that no one remembers, the voice that never stands out. You'll learn to move with purpose but without noise. Stay close to walls. Avoid open spaces. Travel during shifts and patrol routes. Every step measured, every breath controlled. Silence becomes your shield. Even light can betray you. The smallest reflection, the tiniest spark, all can draw attention in a controlled zone. You start to see the world differently. Every light becomes a signal, every shadow a potential cover. As martial law continues, resources dry up. The system starts rewarding obedience with food and security. That's when people break. They trade their independence for a meal, their silence for safety. The few who refuse become ghosts, invisible, hunted, but free. It's not an easy life. It's not glamorous. It's survival at its rawest form. And once you've tasted freedom outside the system, you'll never go back. But the system doesn't just want your body, it wants your mind. Propaganda becomes constant. Screens, announcements, public broadcasts reminding everyone to comply for the greater good. You'll notice the language shift. Words like order, unity, protection replace freedom, rights, choice. That's not coincidence, that's control through language. When they take the words, they take the thoughts. Your best weapon isn't a gun, it's awareness. There's a point in every collapse where you realize the truth. Disappearing isn't about hiding from others. It's about remembering who you are when everything tries to erase you. The system wants obedience, but freedom demands defiance. Quiet defiance, not loud rebellion. Because rebellion can be crushed, but silence can't be traced. If you've prepared, you'll have what they don't. Options. Alternative power, hidden supplies, skills that don't rely on the grid. The world before martial law taught people to depend on systems. The world after will reward those who don't. Learn to cook without electricity, move without GPS, defend without drawing attention. In the end, disappearing from the system isn't about running. It's about mastering control over yourself, your movements, your thoughts, your reactions. The less they can predict, the less they can control. The moment you stop living by their rhythm, you become a ghost in their machine. And when you watch the patrols move past your hiding place, close enough to hear their radios crackle, you'll understand what true freedom feels like. It's not loud, it's silent. It's the space between their footsteps, the breath you hold, the decision not to move until they're gone. When martial law begins, most will seek safety. A few will seek silence. And only the silent will remain free. Because disappearing isn't vanishing, it's awakening. It is the moment you realize that surviving the system means becoming the one thing it can see, you.